That's what gives these things
hilarious.
character.
Yeah, it gives it some character. It's fine. We're just getting the juices going, you know? All right, so welcome everyone to episode 10 of the Weekly Whine Live. I'm your host, Ace, and I'm joined by my good friend Miro and Mapmaker TacticalFluke. And I set this up because I always enjoyed honest conversations about balance and design and maps and all that good stuff. And I feel it's a little bit hard to find in the Starcraft 2 community sometimes. So I set this up to hope to do my small part to change that. If you enjoy, please consider giving a like and subscribe. And this week, we're going to be talking about the we're going to be talking about the TLMC and the finalists of TLMC and what the upcoming map pool is going to look like. And we're starting off just talking about the recent change where the top 3 are guaranteed to make it in. So for that one, it is going to be, it's going to be Fear and Faith, Washout, and Blackrock are going to be guaranteed to make it in. And then we're not sure about the other ones.
Yeah.
And then here, I'll just put this, I'll end the slideshow, and then I'll put up the individual ones so that we can see each one individually.
Do we want to start with
Eternity's Edge?
Okay, we'll start from 5th and work our way down.
Start from 5th. Yeah, so this is at Eternity's Edge from the Depressed one. And this one, who we were saying earlier, is quite similar to Missing You today.
Just in the pattern that the terrain has.
The layout.
Yeah. The actual way
that's
plays will likely be quite different, to be fair.
I'm gonna turn your volume up a little bit. Yeah, that's it's not uncommon for StarCraft 2 maps to like have layout be reused, though. We've seen it before.
Yeah. Though it does make me think every time I see a bit of Missing You today, but it is quite different, you know.
Yeah.
Like, at the very least, in just expansion patterns, this is a lot more compact, or not compact, dense. It's a lot more base dense than Missing You today.
Right.
Missing You today really pushes you towards the edge of the map a lot more. This one makes you walk a lot less distance to get each new base.
Another thing
Missing You today. Sorry, you go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what I think is kind of interesting about like people comparing maps to previous maps is like a lot of it I think is just your memory of like which one stands out to you, because there's like probably a few different common layout paths that are used in a lot of different ones, you know. And then we end up kind of reusing some of them. Like New Gettysburg to me is the classic, like you're horizontal, you know, so it's like you're spawning horizontal from each other, so it's close by air, right? But then it's longer by ground, you know. And we've had a bunch of other maps that have used that kind of pattern, you know. But for me, it always reminds me of New Gettysburg. But for other people, I think they think of other maps. I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
There's a few Heart of the Swarm maps that I think of with that. I don't know if you ever saw Bomber versus Scarlet, but that's Habitation Station.
Habitation Station
is the quintessential one that I think of, which I'll put in that in a moment.
Or I also think of Stargazers a lot because I used to hate that map.
Oh yeah. Habitation Station. I'm remembering this one now. Sorry.
Yeah. This had one of the most absolutely epic finishes to any series that I have ever seen with Scarlet versus Bomber. I think it was a Red Bull tournament, if memory serves.
Yeah.
I believe so. That was the one with the burrowed Banelings, right?
It came down to a base trade where the burrowed Banelings ended up blowing up all of Bomber's Marines. Yeah.
Yeah, that was an excellent game. I remember that too.
Mm-hmm. But going back to At Eternity's Edge, I dropped in chat the Missing You today for the comparison of At Eternity's Edge, and they are very similar layout wise, aren't they?
Pull that up.
I guess, except again, for the expansion pattern, which is where it really diverges. Because Missing You Today, you can see there that the bases are far more spaced out.
Yes, they are. Bases are a lot closer on at Eternity's Edge, but it also feels a little bit more choky compared to Missing You Today.
Yeah, though it's also much more direct paths across the map. So if you draw a line from any base to any other base, it's very straight with very few interruptions on Eternity's Edge.
This is actually super
frequently.
funny because I have them laid on top of each other. I don't know if you can see on the stream right now.
Yes.
But if you flip between them, it's like you can just see like the expansions move a little bit.
And it's interesting that you point them out, because there are definitely the middle path for Missing You Today is fairly linear from the third to the third and from the natural to the natural, but the moment you have to go from fourth base, it's very different, right?
Yep.
And that's not the case for At Eternity's Edge. As you put it earlier, omnidirectional movement is I don't know if it's a feature, but it's probably a criticism I'd have of a lot of Depressed One's maps from what I've seen.
I would agree with it being a complaint, at least on my end. I feel like it creates a lot less interesting movement generally in games, because rotations for the attacker and the defender are both just walking directly to where you need to defend. So there's a lot less interesting decisions to be made on where you position your army, when you can just position it directly between the two places you have to defend, and then you can respond to either equally.
Yeah, that's a really good way of putting it. I think the other thing as well, this particular map, I will always sit here and go, why the fuck are those rocks there?
The rocks in the center. Yeah, I know exactly. The rocks.
So you rid of the Cantu tree.
Yes.
Yeah, the Cantu tree, you break up the terrain by putting in that little splotch of paint. This is the Cantu rocks. We're creating new elements.
And that's fine, but why are we allowing the terrain in that position to be completely wiped out and then to have literally nothing there?
I don't know. It's also, if you notice there, the triangle thirds are directly across from each other on high ground the entire map along. There's the only way to really stop a Terran parade pushing through there is the fact that it's obscenely open with a ton of flanks.
Which
so isn't it works? I mean, that'll do it.
It could be more open. There could not be this whole cliff right here. Gosh, you guys can't see my mouse. There's got to be a way I can show point on the map what I'm talking about. How can I do that?
If you
I take a screenshot of it and then start editing the photo.
Yeah. Okay, so I could open Paint and just draw on it in Paint. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on.
It's
going to be a little funky. I'm going to make it happen.
The thing that you look at with Missing You Today is you mentioned how at Eternity's Edge, it's very linear. There's no terrain difference, and it really does show on Missing You Today, because even though it's a straight shot from third to third, you still have the up and down of the terrain, so you can take advantage of line of sight, not being able to see up terrain for some of those.
And they're 2x ramps.
And they're different size ramps, yeah.
They're much smaller. That's about as small as you can go while still getting away with it on a standard map, which is pretty impactful. That's huge for Terran, but there's also all these flanks and stuff in that area. It's interesting terrain, in my opinion. And then you have, of course, just the all high ground direct path across the map where it's just like, yep, you know.
Oh, this is
Which,
a pain.
I mean, it has some. I suppose you have some choices there, because you still have a couple of surround points of view you can do, but it's really you're always running up into them rather than them coming up into you, or rather than you holding the high ground. And I feel like that's fairly detrimental to have as a map.
I've almost got it.
I'm just watching it happen, and I feel like we're gonna move on before he gets it.
I know, right? So these rocks right here. These are the rocks we're talking about.
Oh yeah, earlier we were talking about those
Yeah,
rocks.
like in
like
ages
10 minutes ago.
Yeah,
Or
those
millennia ago,
rocks are
back in
just-
the Bronze Age, we were talking about these rocks.
Don't worry, we're going
Look,
after the people who listen to it like a podcast with no visuals.
Exactly.
Yeah. They're the rocks in like the center north of the map.
Yeah. These weird ass
on the
rocks
high
here.
ground.
Anyway, and earlier I was trying to point to this cliff, and I was saying, like, it could be more open. There could not be this cliff here, because I'm looking at it as Zerg. Like, if a Terran is like parade pushing me right here, right, and I'm trying to flank him, like I can go in here and I can go in here, right? And then what's he gonna do? Like, he's gonna run to this cliff and then boost up and get out every time, So I don't know. I mean, it could be
you could
more
also
open.
come through the acceleration zone and come from behind them that way too.
Yeah, that's true. These are
I feel
acceleration
like
zones.
You could also be going through both of those ramps you showed. You could just walk through both of those, have half of them come from behind and half of them come from the side,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a flank, yeah. But like, they're gonna retreat from that, is my point.
Yeah, I feel like it'd be, and unless you have mutas right, I feel like they would be able to run even if you had a full surround, right?
I mean, technically, they can always run unless you have Muta or Corruptor, yeah. But, I mean, my point is, like, they can't run, like, they can run to the side and then, like, come back, whereas if it's open, then they just have to retreat,
Here's the thing, right? Deceptively, if you're looking at it from the top down, it looks smaller than it actually is. It is in game. It is actually quite a large space, and so if you're trying to get us around from that bottom ramp, you have to move your units a really long way to get that surround from that angle as well. So I don't know. It's very odd to me that there's no high ground, low ground to take advantage of.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a problem with this. To be honest, like, I weirdly enjoy these, like, high ground bridges that run through the whole map, but I think that might just be, like, a weird preference that I have, and I'll explain it, though. And this is how you know that it's a weird and not really valid, like, map design thing. I like it because it just feels like you're on a catwalk, and I like catwalks, and, StarCraft Brood War had a lot of that. It's a dumb reason, but I like it for that reason.
That's fair enough.
I would kind of like even just a ramp going up and down in the direct middle there instead. Even that would be nice.
Oh, and just like here and here, where you just have to like go up and down like a ramp.
Honestly, probably closer to the center, like draw a line directly where the rocks are, and then you have a ramp going down into that and a ramp going into that. No?
Oh, like how they did here, but without this like center area here. So it's just like this
very
is a
simple.
Ramp. This
that
is a
area
ramp.
where the rocks are, I think you just make that into like a three-way ramp. Low ground, three-way ramp, so you go up and then down on each kind of area.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so hard to talk about any of this as a Zerg because it's like, I mean, what I want is for this whole fucking thing to be blank.
Yeah. From a biased point of view, right?
From a biased point of view.
So I have to ask, and I haven't actually had a look at this in game. I probably should open it up in game because this is one of the few maps that I didn't look at. But I have seen, some pro games from the TLMC tournaments that were done.
Hmm.
Are there decent similar are there decent overlord pillars, overlord pillar placements for
That's a good question.
overlords and things like that?
That's always like
this map?
the first thing that I should be looking at, and it's the thing that I just never look at until I actually have to play on the map, and then I'm like, where do I put my overlords? And then I'm like, the overlord pillars suck.
I'll admit,
Boy, you
I
get
have fallen into
dodge.
this trap.
Like, I literally don't know where they are because I have to zoom in
There's a
so far
pillar
to
at the
find them.
net.
Like, this is a pillar, right? Like, this is a
There's
pillar.
a pillar at the net,
This is a pillar.
at the opening into the net. There's one at the ramp in front of the net. There's one at the triangle third by the rocks. I've got the A map open in the editor right now. There's one at the linear third. There's a lot of pillars here, actually.
Yeah, so
Please
this,
tell me that
pillars?
this is a trick pillar as well.
I don't feel like this is a terrible map for Zerg,
These
but
are
I also
pillars.
don't feel like it's a great map for Zerg either. The one thing I will say is one of the
Think these are
problems that I
pillars?
have with a couple of the new maps is some of the new maps have really tiny main base spaces, which makes it really hard to SimCity anything as Terran. And this map doesn't have that problem. The main base is fucking massive.
Also like the sign for monster energy in the main base right now on the current
Oh, yeah,
version.
yeah.
Okay,
And
Tac, help me
Shopify
out.
Rebellion.
By the rich gas geyser, kind of
I don't think that's a pillar.
directly
No,
north
No,
or
it's
south of the
not a
pillar.
pillar.
Not a pillar.
that's
right,
not a pillar.
yeah. It looks like a fake pillar to me. So I think I've got the
And it's only
pillars
because you're
marked.
top down. It doesn't look like that in game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the editor now to actually.
You've got
look as
another
well.
one in the corners. You've got 3.
Help me out here. Which corner?
Oh, there's some weird stuff happening in the main actually, like the Nidus worm area.
I
Yeah, I was
noticed
gonna-
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
the unload
Yeah.
Nidus worm warp prism area.
I was going to ask you what your thoughts are about that, because one of the comments that the Mapmaker made was specifically trying to quote unquote mess with the main base and the dimensions. So I'm
By
kind
the
of
way,
curious
Ace,
what you think about the vision blockers there.
you circled the one on the other side of the ramp to the right of it. That's not a pillar either.
The one on the other side of the ramp to the right of it? Which ramp?
Are
Are we talking about the natural?
From the net, and then you go towards the middle of the map, and then to the right of that ramp is not a.
So
This
not a
one?
pillar.
if you're looking at the bottom area,
Jesus Christ.
I
It's
can
so
just
hard
send you a
to...
picture
Like, I
with
wish you
all
could just
the-
point at it. Okay, so this is the natural, right?
I'll just take a picture and
Yeah,
and
just show it to
circle
me.
all of them.
Oh, this looks like it could be a pillar. Okay, you screenshotted it. What the fuck am I looking at here? Oh, this is what you were talking about with the ramps?
Probably. I don't know exactly what you're looking at.
Yeah, it was
I'm only
the
gonna
screenshot
circle
you
them
sent me
on one
earlier.
side because I'm evil. Man, it is hard to look at this from overview.
It
Yes.
is really weird, yeah. Like, not how we're used to seeing StarCraft maps.
All right,
It's
I
just
think
so
I've
hard to
circled-
understand depth from like a perfect top down.
Yeah, they should make them big, bright red. That'd be pretty funny. Which kind of is what BlackRock did for one of its map features, fun fact. Okay.
Yeah.
I think I circled all of them. I sent you the image. It's a lot of pillars.
Doing it live, boys.
It's like a
I'm just
lot
gonna
of pillars.
copy
There's a
and
couple
paste
of...
this into my thing right here. Oh no, it's the wrong. Hang on.
Oh yeah, because I took that manually.
Hang on.
Scuff stream.
I know.
You like resizing things?
Yeah. It's so gross. Ugh.
I love launching the editor only for the editor to freeze when I'm trying to open the fucking file.
Why is this not?
Okay, Miro, what was your question though
Oh,
that
here
you
it
gave me? Was it about the main base?
I was asking you what you thought of the line of sight blockers in the main base.
You know, the last time I saw that exact feature was Roscallion, and I honestly have no idea. On
didn't feel
Roscallion,
like
it's quite annoying because it also hides like a Reaper Cliff, and it's exposed to airspace, which it is exposed to airspace here, but it's not a Reaper Cliff. And it's also 2v2s in that mode, and there are horrible Reaper Cliffs on the rest of that map. So there's a lot that makes it not nearly as bad. I think I'm fine with it, honestly. It'll probably get used, you know? It's not bad.
I think we
Aaron
saw
will also
one
use
game. Yeah, I think every race will end up using it as a drop point. So I feel like your answer to that is just always going to be put a supply depot, like your third supply depot
Yeah.
goes there or something,
Or Novi.
or an overlord or whatever. Yeah, I mean overlords
Novi
are already
probably in
covering
the
dead
spot
space
that
anyway.
I probably want my Ovi to see it but not be on it, of course, because they're dropping there. They're always going to be dropping there. I mean, you know,
Yeah, it's the most likely place for a drop.
unless it's going from the triangle third right and they're just bouncing, because then it makes
Okay.
a little less sense. But
Last
it's a decent
question.
feature.
Last question on this map. I mean, there's a fair amount of shit that we could talk about for this map realistically, but what sort of styles do you think are going to be played on this map? Given its size, do you think it's going to be primarily macro, all in, like two base all ins, proxy? How do you think it's generally going to be played? Because it feels fairly standard.
Yeah, it's a little hard to say for that because the bases are a lot closer to each other, but there's direct paths between most of them. So that kind of
Yeah.
balances out, you know?
I don't
Yeah.
know what the rush distance is.
Feels short. I'm just
It's in-
looking at it.
It'll be in the sheet. Let's see. Change log. No. I will bring that up in the judging sheet.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I feel
But I
like
don't
like we said earlier, like parade pushes and stuff are probably going to be pretty strong, just because you can go directly from one base to another. There's not really a whole lot of crazy pathing.
Eternity's Edge. Looks like it's a standard rush distance.
Mhm.
32, 36.
Yeah. It's 34.
Okay. Oh, that's
Yeah.
okay, I guess. Considering
Yeah, it's middle of the
considering how
pack.
direct the pathways are, yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite large in its dimensions, but I mean everything is just direct, you know. So I honestly I don't super mind the map. The omnidirectional terrain is not especially egregious here. It's fine. It looks really pretty. Especially funny with the comparisons to Missing You Today is that they use the exact same texture, just in another color.
Oh, that's
I
funny.
will say, something that I do have to give Depressed One credit for is he's actually pretty good with his decoration and color schemes, because like some of the color schemes we've seen in the past have been eye-bleedingly bad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say eye
And-
bleeding, but not great.
I don't know. Like you saw some of those maps as well as I did, man.
Yeah, but like he's pretty consistently got a somewhat muted and modeled color scheme in a lot.
Yeah, that's true. Like his,
I think
his,
you know,
his
it just
decorative
has
work
good
is
visual.
pretty solid.
It's good visual
This-
clarity, I think, which
Yes.
is
This
important.
this map especially, I feel like has a really good color scheme. It's all
Yeah.
generally muted, but he's got a couple of popping colors here and there, and I really like that.
Yeah. Like, I think a lot of this is hard to talk about because it's like it's really hard for people to understand like how much goes into making the map enjoyable to play, not just like balanced and like having good layout and things like that, but like the little things that go into, you know, color scheme choices and stuff like that to make it enjoyable to play. Because like it's mentally taxing to play on a map that is confusing. You know what I mean? Like it requires
Yeah.
more overhead from your brain to understand everything. So that's another reason why I tend to like things that are like simpler, because like I enjoy the philosophy of less is more. You know what I mean? Like I think if you can express an idea with as little elements as possible, that is going to make you like a better map maker, in my opinion, rather than like trying to throw all of the fancy bells and whistles and pack it all into one map. You know what I mean? I think it's a better approach to like look at it as like, what's the minimum that we need to make this interesting? You know?
Or different.
Yeah, definitely.
You do need to stand out from the pack in order to be. I feel like, just generally, you don't want to be standard. Like, not perfectly. It's fine to submit something standard, but if every submission is standard, then things are just boring, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yes.
Anyway, do we want to move on to talking about Storm Surge?
Oh boy.
Storm
Okay.
Surge is shocking that it made it to the top 5.
I'm
The map making
honestly
Discord was
surprised,
very
yeah.
surprised. Yeah. Because it is standard. It's pretty standard.
I'm gonna try to get this on GIMP instead of Paint, because Paint is driving me crazy because I can't get it to zoom correctly. I'm stuck between like cutting off like 10% of the map or it being super tiny, because you can't have like custom zoom levels. it's super dumb.
So the moment I loaded into Storm Surge, I noticed a few, like there's a couple things you have to know about this map. The first one is the waterway through the center is basically fuck anything that burrows, because you're not allowed to burrow there. So you can't burrow lurkers and you can't use them. You can't burrow widow mines. Any Zerg unit that can, like any Zerg unit with burrow, can't burrow there. Which is really stupid in my opinion. Like all that water, just you can't
You
use
just
that
get washed
area.
away.
you do get washed away, yeah. Which for Protoss isn't an issue because they don't have any units that burrow, but
Oh yeah, no, they're strong.
Particularly for Zerg, that's really bad. And the other thing that I notice with this map is any of the Overlord pillars are an eternity away. You know, this should have been called At Eternity's Edge, because it's a fucking eternity to get your Overlords into place.
I will say you do have enough dead space. I believe you have enough dead space
You have
between
enough
the
dead
Nat
space
and the
behind the
third.
main.
Do you not have enough dead space between the Nat and the linear third to put an OV in there?
No.
Are you
You're
talking about?
It's on the edge.
Hang on.
Oh yeah, they
Hang
didn't
on, I gotta
paint
get my
pathing
brush.
paint right here.
No, there's so the only dead space that is viable there is between the third base and the main base, the triangle third.
Hmm.
And I draw.
Yeah.
Yay. Are you guys talking about this spot?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
spot
don't
right
know.
there has dead space, but you generally want to check that they have a nat, and then you want to go to a pillar. And that is a lot harder. If the PTR goes through with Overlord speed decrease, that'll also probably
Yeah.
make it a bit harder.
I mean, that's gonna be fucking huge. Like, okay, so let me dive into this because you're talking my bread and butter here. Because I fucking hate this. Every map, it drives me crazy how the Overlord pathing, like, or where we can put the Overlords, it just completely fucks it up, and it's massive. So like, okay, so ZVT and ZVP usually, like, I'm usually gonna send my first Overlord like to my natural and then to their natural, right? And the reason for that is because I need to see if they're gonna send like an SCV or a probe or something over there to block my hatchery. Like, I need to know
Right.
that, right? So, you know, you kind of you send it here and then out here, right? And then if it's Terran, I'll usually head to their ramp, and that way I can see, like, are you dropping a factory or a second barracks, or, you know, what are you doing with your after you finish your barracks, right? You know, do you have a reactor? Like, what are you doing? Are you ghost rushing me, right? And then from there, like, I usually try to get the fuck out as soon as possible, which is why, like, if there's a pillar, like, at the natural, that's perfect, because then I can just go to the ramp and then right to the pillar and then I hang out there. But if there's no pillar, then it sucks, because it's like, where do I go? And you kind of have to go, like, out here and then here, because if you just go straight across, he just hits you with the Marine, right? So you can't really do that. So, like, from the ramp, you have to go out to here to kind of use the cliff so that he has to, like, go around with the Marine. And then if he follows you, you can go back to the high ground and you zigzag over like that. You know, but
Yeah,
hopefully he doesn't follow you, and then you just go here and you hang out here, and then you send it in later if you want another scout, right?
I mean, on the other hand, one of the big complaints has always been how positioning your Overlord on an Overlord pillar just gives you so much fucking information. And I understand why that's necessary, but also it feels kind of bad as well. So there needs to be an equilibrium struck between being able to get the information, even if you're just poking forward a little bit, but you still have to do some risk. And I think this has gone the complete opposite way, because there's nothing there. There is actually just nothing there.
Yeah. It's like
There's some
we
history
started by
behind
just
all
pulling
this.
it back, and then we just decided, like, you know, at first we were like, well, maybe Zerg gets like a little bit less information, and we just like moved the tower like further and further away, and then eventually it feels like we're just like, nah, no tower. it's like, what?
Sorry,
Right,
Tack, what were you about to say?
Yeah, so a few years ago, like a good few years ago now, there was always a pillar in the nat that could see your tech at the nat.
Yep.
And then there was also dead space behind the main to put your second Overlord for the 4-minute check. People got upset about that when it became literally every map on ladder. Then we kind of overcorrected back away from it. We had no pillars at the nat at all, and nothing could like see a tech or anything, right? This map was made during that time. And then at this point, we've gone back to kind of a middle ground. I feel like I feel like a pretty healthy middle ground of, like, Ultralove was during a lot of the conversations around that. On Ultralove, I put the pillar kind of behind the mineral line, where close to where dead space would be, so that you could get away with it. Yeah, the natural mineral line. So that you could go check the natural, but you wouldn't be able to see the tech unless you then, again, risk the Overlord. But like I said, this map was made when we were initially starting to get massive pushback from the overuse of Overlord pillars. So yeah, this is one where it doesn't have any Overlord pillars until you go out from the nat towards the closest to Overlord pillars, are like at the linear third and on the other side of the rocks there. And then this has been edited for the last like 3 or 4, maybe even 5 TLMCs and resubmitted each time. it's so, but yeah, it has that leftover design of the pillars, which is just kind of funny to see now here in 2026 when, I mean, this map was probably made in like 2020, maybe 2021-ish. I can't remember exactly, but
interesting.
it's been a while. Yeah. And then of course it got a much bigger update for this TLMC, which I think I attribute largely to why it won, you know.
Yeah, that would make sense.
But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Overlord pillar debate has always been interesting to me as a Zerg, because I came in at the start of Legacy of the Void, so that was like right when that was hot on everybody's mind. Because every map, like you said, it was like we had the Overlord pillar right there at the natural. Usually I could see your entire like natural ramp opening. So I could see if you were leaving your base, and I could see if you were expanding. Like I didn't even have to move the Overlord, and I could see like if you had a natural, which is, that to me was too much information, even like from my perspective. You know, to me, I think like what I want from a natural Overlord pillar as a Zerg is just to be able to see if you're moving out. I don't need to see if you have a natural or anything more than that, but like if I can't see if you're moving out, like why even have the pillar? You know what I mean? Because it's like if I need to move the Overlord off of the pillar to see if you're moving out, then there might as well not be a pillar there, because I'm gonna lose that Overlord. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I do feel like this map at least has some pillars that will allow you to do that. I don't think you send the first Overlord to check the natural. I think that kills the Overlord most of the time.
Well, I mean, if
but
it's
what
on
you can do is you can
PTR.
have it on. There's like, yeah, I am thinking of PTR right now, but there are two pillars there are two big attack paths that you're gonna see people following. Generally, the one through the middle, and I guess maybe three, left, middle, and right. There is a pillar that sees middle and right if you're coming from the bottom left, and there's one that sees the left side. If you see what I'm talking about.
So
yeah,
all the
not those. Yeah, those. The ones that are circled last. I think there's some stream delay.
something else I've noticed is this map has some potential cannon rush spots in the natural as well. It's not a like 2 or 3 pylon cannon rush, but it is definitely something where if you shove a pylon down and then you put a gateway down or a forge or whatever, you can absolutely put it in a place that is extremely detrimental.
Yep. That's pretty common now.
The two there's like 2 little things behind the mineral line, little doodads behind the mineral line. Those actually essentially create a choke point that means that you can only come from like 1 or 2 areas to kill, and can't get us around if you're putting something there.
Well, do you see their footprint versus their hitbox?
Yes.
They block a 2x2 area, but they only exist in pretty much a 1x1 area spread out among those 4. What I'm trying to say here is that you cannot put any pylons or anything touching those and have a successful cannon rush. Not really.
So
the best cannon rush spot is actually in the main base. You can put down 3 pylons in that. Do you see it in the little nook in the main to the right of the ramp?
Oh God. Okay. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're talking about.
Which spot are we looking at?
There's a cannon rush spot in the main.
In the main?
Yeah. I feel okay. So I feel like what you should do. Rusher. Let me say this. Ace, can you screen share Tac, can you screen share Discord, and Ace can just like follow what you're doing so he can see what you're talking about.
I'm gonna stop playing Bob Marley for this. Oh no, I can just disable the audio. There we go.
Let's see.
So there's actually 2 of them. There's 2 funnel cannon spells. And now
I gotta show this to the stream.
I am a little weird. Also, I want to point out in the chat, I saw Omni Skeptic mentioned pretty much anything that nerfs vision for him is a good thing, and he thinks that vision creep has been going on for a long time. I somewhat agree
Where the
with
hell
that.
is it? Oh, there it is.
Um,
Sorry, I was looking for a thing on my stream element. Here it is.
I don't think it's the worst thing ever to
there we go.
expect a Zerg player to scout with a drone or a Zergling for a natural.
Oh, that's
It's just
nasty.
it is a balanced decision. Yeah, there's 2 of them here. Let me
Whoa.
go back to
Okay.
So these cannon rush spots are both cannon rush spots that are I'll call them reaction tests, you know?
Yeah, this is very concerning.
You see them go in, you need to
That
be
is
on
terrifying.
top of that, otherwise they're going to ruin your day. So as Protoss, this one right here on the left is especially damning because what you're gonna see is you generally are gonna be walling like this, right? Every game, not with a Stargate unless you're actually crazy with it. But like, you know, you're building your wall out like this. All the enemy Protoss needs to do is 2 pylons right here, and they can ruin the game for you. This is a very common thing on quite a few maps. If you put it over here, and then your second one is like this, same thing happens. So this is something that people really have to be either aware of, or they might need to iterate that one a tiny bit, because that's a noob trap right there.
Like, it is counterable. Like, okay, so for anybody who doesn't know, I'll just say, like, you know, you can patrol drones. Like, you can patrol workers to block these, like, really nasty spots. You know, and if you have, like, a worker following the probe that's trying to build, or ideally 2, if you ask my buddy Relin, and I think this is pretty good advice, like, because if you have 2, then they actually take damage. Whereas if you just follow it with 1 worker, like them stopping for a little while, like they'll just take some shield damage and then they regen. It's no big deal. But if you have 2 workers following, then like, it'll be enough to actually do damage.
Ideally, you're gonna try to predict where the enemy probe is going to be moving, and then cut them off and then attack them, all that. But the more important thing, by far, when you're getting cannon rushed, is that you block where they want to put down cannons. You get 1 worker, and when this is going on, they put down these pylons, right? And you just have 1 worker in this little nook. You can block the cannons as they come up and make yourself like an extra 10-20 seconds while they're trying to put cannons down and you're blocking them, and then you try to predict them. You get so much time, and that time is so valuable. That is one of the biggest counters that a lot of people forget.
It is,
of course, you also have the magic numbers. 3 workers on a cannon that just started, 4 on a cannon under 50%, and 5 on a cannon over 50%. Remember that. All races, very important numbers.
Oh yeah.
If you can actually get enough workers to do that, that's great. But
surface
oftentimes
surface area
is a really big problem.
Yeah. Which is why, like, what we're talking about here is so important. Where it's like, and that's why I was saying patrolling workers is really, like, the answer for this type of stuff. Because it's the same thing if you're talking about, like, in your mineral line or your natural mineral line, where there's, like, nasty spots there where they can wall something off, you know? Like, the reason why that's a problem for you is because it limits surface area. And if you can predict the places that they want to put those buildings, you can patrol a worker there, and then they literally can't do anything about it. Because they would have to kill the worker in order to, like, move it out of the way to place the structure.
Right. So another couple of major considerations, like, you as a cannon rusher, of course, from the cannon rusher side, you need to be thinking about that surface area. You need to try to limit it as much as possible, which is why something like there are some weird things like this right here. These 3 pylons are such a beautiful spot because when this pylon dies and your cannon is right here, you make a second one before their workers can come in and attack you. Right behind it, you have this little tiny gap of spot.
That's nasty.
If they destroy either of these pylons on the side and you have the other ones, then you still, I mean, ideally they're going to attack this one in the center. But if you remake right here, they're going to have really poor surface area. So that surface area is really important. The second thing is, where am I going with this cannon rush? This cannon rush spot
very ironically, is not that good.
No, that one's not, but the other one is, because it's constantly on top of your ramp that you then have
Yes.
to deal with. You always have to break out.
And this one as well, I'm pretty sure that
It's gonna hit those gases for sure.
Yes,
Yeah,
it will
but that's
also deal
not-
with gas.
That's not the worst case. Why can't I place it right there?
Yeah, that's interesting. I was expecting you to be able to do that too.
Might be an editor
Oh,
bug. We
yeah.
will see
Yeah, that
that.
might be an
I
editor
moved
thing.
it in there manually with shift and moving.
So
Yeah, I know what you're
This
talking about.
cannot hit the second base. Well, I just overrode the restriction so I could put it there visually. This cannot hit the natural, so it's not that bad, but it can hit all of your tech or buildings on this ramp. So this is quite good, especially because if you're able to kill a gateway and especially like a cyber core, you're going to creep into the main base and then you're going to just win the game from here. Plus you control the ramp, so it cuts off the ability for most things to go across the map. For Zerg, this is a lot less scary because it only hits these gases that you don't need until later on. And they can't really push down into this low ground. There's
you don't need to push down.
there's
into the
no
low ground, though.
places here.
If you're getting that up before, I guess if they're getting it up before the expansion, then it's whatever. If they're getting it up after the expansion and you end up blocking the expansion, then it's over. Like if you block the ramp, then and the expansion it doesn't get down, the game just ends for Zerg.
So,
Which-
yeah, cannons.
Cannons, yeah. I think we can move on
I want
from
to-
the
I
cannons.
love cannons.
I'm sorry, but I will forever remember the game where I think it was like Classic or Mana versus Reyna in EWC. They cannon rushed him and then let the fucking worker just go straight past the cannons and build a third base instead because they didn't have the cannons in range of the ramp. And it directly lost him the game.
Also, Omni said in chat, those crates behind the natural mineral layout are such horrible design. This is one that I actually completely agree on. It's just something that we added because we hate cannons so much. We in quotes, right? But we hate
cannon
cannons so
rushes,
much
yeah.
that we just
Yeah.
wanted to remove them. But it comes at the cost of like, look at this visually. Like that's so.
Yeah, it looks nasty.
It's ugly.
Yeah.
It's
It looks
ugly
weird, yeah.
and it's awkward, in my opinion, to have that pathing blocker, and then you can't place buildings as a defense, like missile.
You know what
turrets
I think
back
I would
here.
like much better?
You can
I would
place a missile turret on the other side though. Like you can't
Like
actually
right
put a missile
here.
turret there. Yeah.
So
But, like-
I have an idea though, because it's like what
Okay.
you're talking about there. You want the base to look like it does, right? But you don't want to have those nasty bits of clutter in the way. But you also don't want people to be able to make cannons right there, right? Like, wouldn't a better solution to be to have it be unbuildable in that little area behind the mineral line? And then
I mean,
the question
you
is really just how
could.
do you convey that visually in a way that's like easy to understand? Because that's always the struggle with unbuildable
I mean,
terrain.
I'd be
Yes, but
tempted to
then-
just
then-
put down an unbuildable plate back there, right? Because that's a design element that we already have. Like everyone knows what these are. You slap one
Yeah.
of these back here, and it's like, oh, okay, that's what you're doing. I understand
Right,
that.
because
Oh, no,
then
I
the
pressed
player
aspect
understands
ratio
why
button.
it's there. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
that
yeah,
makes
so
sense.
and you
Here's
can
the thing.
remove it.
Okay,
I
so
mean-
here's the thing, and I do think the unbuildable plates are actually the solution. But if you're trying to make it an unpathable, unbuildable area, you then run into the potential issue of what if a liberator gets back there and then sieges up, and now you can't actually kill the
I believe you
liberator
can.
at that point. Which
Because
with this you can, but I'm saying in what Ace said was make that area unbuildable. You can't do that
Oh, right.
because then you have issues with the queen not being able to get back there or moving a spore into the back area.
Well, the queen would, but
to
the
deal
spore
with
wouldn't
it.
be able to burrow.
Well, the queen might
Yeah.
be able to if it can get within range without also taking damage from the liberator. Right?
Oh, you're talking about libs? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really talking about, like, this particular spot, per se. More just, like, the idea of, like,
The
you want an
general idea.
area that you don't want people to be able to build cannons in. but you do still want that area to be terrain that you can path in, you can walk in, right?
And in some
So
cases,
like my
that's...
answer would be, I just feel like unbuildable terrain is an element that isn't really used a lot in maps, and I understand the
I do
reason
think
is
you
that it's
could.
very hard to convey to the player.
So the best way I think there is to convey to it is, and it's a little weird as well. You painted a different terrain paint, and then you give it rocks. I feel like that's a quite clear one. Or I guess
Little
you dump a
stubby
bunch of water on
rocks,
it.
you know, you're not talking like a rock doodad, but more like a texture.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you've got Jarband minor rocks. Let me see. Where do we have it? What the heck? Why can't I find it? Not these. Yeah, those are the big ones. Okay, I don't see them here. I don't know why. But
That
like,
works.
yeah, no, they're just a bunch of little rocks. Small rock group, yeah. Like these. These don't like, we often can use these as that kind of thing, but like these especially are small enough that this could potentially read unpathable to me quite easily.
Maybe. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
if it was a little more like
You do more than
slightly
that,
more
but
cluttered,
you know,
yeah.
yeah.
But either way,
This is the doodad I would kind of go to. I do feel like unbuildable area could make a comeback in StarCraft 2 in a nice way. I mean, we have one right here, right?
Yeah, there's
But,
one right there. Yeah, I was aware of that.
Yeah.
But also, this is, you know, this unbuildable area is really more of a Warcraft 3 throwback area. I gotta say, the Warcraft 3 influences have been pretty strong. I've been feeling that a lot.
so final thoughts on the map.
I mean,
Well, we didn't talk about the layout at all, but
yeah,
we
I mean,
didn't really talk
you know,
about
yeah,
it's somewhat standard. I do love the aesthetic. It's really sick. It's somewhat basic, but like this center area is really executed well from a design or decor perspective. So I'm a little blinded by it, you know, because I like that.
Yeah, visually it does look really good. I think just some of the features of the map is kind of just fuck Zerg and anything else that has to burrow.
I mean, I can
Right.
just tell you, like, even without the not being able to burrow thing, because I never get burrow anyway, so I don't really give a shit about that. But even without
Yeah, but
that, like, I'm
you
just
use
never gonna
locals.
walk in here. You know, like, as a Zerg player, I'm just like, killing these rocks is gonna be the first fucking thing on my mind every game. Because with these rocks
Yeah.
gone, you can just travel between these, and like, you don't ever need to fucking touch this area. Because, you know,
Unless you're
from a
doing
Zerg perspective,
crazy
I'm looking at this
surround
and
on
I'm
the
like,
parade bush.
this is just death. You know, why would I go
Yeah.
in here? It's just a meat grinder, you know?
I mean, like they're one wide ramps, right? In the center, those are
Yeah.
the same width as the main base ramp. So
Yeah.
trying to go up through there and trying to path your army up through there, that's
Ugh.
so bad. That's hell trying to do that.
I can just imagine like a biomine army like sitting on top here, and you're like trying to flood in with your lings, and it's like you just get shredded. Like, it's not
Yeah.
gonna be good. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Though
but I mean,
ideally you would
overall,
be,
I
you know,
will
catching
have
them
to
off
say,
guard and all that.
I will have to say, like, overall, I do kind of like the visual clarity and simplicity of the map, which, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you'll find is a theme for me, and that's what I tend to like.
Yeah.
Being a Zerg player, you know.
All right. What's next? Was it
Yeah,
Fear and Faith? I think.
it's Fear and Faith.
Fear and Faith
we're
is
on the third,
crazy,
right?
dude.
Fear and Faith.
I like
third.
Fear and Faith a lot.
Yeah.
I have very mixed feelings about Fear and Faith, to be honest.
I just want to see what happens.
I'm okay with 4-player maps. I'm glad we're seeing more 4-player maps. The first things. First things first is like
That's not
I
gonna
wanted
work,
to
hang
see
on.
more 4-player maps. I think the biggest issue that I have at the moment with Fear and Faith is there's one or two spots, like there's a spot in the main base, not the main base, sorry, the natural base, where if you park a lib just right, you can never get a spore crawler back there to kill a liberator. And it's also unpathable, I think.
It is unbuildable.
Unbuildable? Okay.
So it's very, very funny that we were just talking to Omni about Storm Surge and unbuildable terrain in the back, because this does exactly that.
Yeah, that does exactly that. But the problem with that is now you've created the perfect spot for a liberator to sit and attack those minerals completely unimpeded. Because spore crawlers can't reach.
I missed half of this because I was setting everything up. What liberator spot are you talking about so I can highlight it?
In the natural, can you get a queen back there? I think you can,
no,
right?
It's you
In
might
the
be able to
natural?
get a
Oh, you're
queen
talking
back
like right here, like this little area.
You can also get a queen to attack it from the main, I believe.
You can get a queen to attack it from the main, yes.
I don't see that as a huge
that's
issue.
your only problem.
Well, I can see one issue with that, which is that your creep is not going to reach.
So
like,
on my stream here, I've got.
I mean, like, it's not going to be a problem for pros because you're going to notice that they're building a liberator and then you're going to just drop a tumor here, right? But, you know, for anybody who's playing on an average level, like, you put a liberator here and then the Zerg is going to be forced to...
Well,
because, like, if there's a lib here and you got to put a queen here... The creep what?
Oh, it does too. The creep does touch the main, yeah. Yeah, so the natural base is actually small enough that the creep does touch the main behind the mineral line.
It doesn't touch everything, but it touches enough, more than enough, to get a queen pretty quickly over there to attack it.
So there is creep
I don't
right
think
here?
that's a problem.
I mean, if there's creep right there, no big deal, you know?
Yeah, there is creep.
Look at my stream.
Yeah.
Look at my Discord stream here. That's how much you got.
Oh, I see. Right. So you can kind of walk along the edge right there.
Yeah.
Because you're going to have to get, like, all the way to the edge. Because they're going to be aiming for, like, that gas.
And it also gets you, like, most of the way there, too, you know?
Yeah.
But, like, this little creep here lets it... So that if they, like, re-target onto your queen, then you're going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
I don't think that's actually very abusable for libs.
If there's, like, any little bit of creep there that you can just walk away, like, that's fine.
Big feature of this map, of course, is the
worker tubes.
Giant worker tubes across the map.
Yeah,
not a fan.
I like it aesthetically. I'm not sure how I feel about it from a gameplay standpoint.
I feel that it's going to be useful for cannon rushes, and I mean, the funny thing is, it would actually be pretty good for like proxy hatch if you can actually get a proxy hatch in the main, and then you can bring the drones for the spines through the tubes. Like, that would be fucking sick.
Funny.
I actually think
I like opening stuff up to that.
Yeah, I kind of like opening the idea of that up. Fuck cannon rushing, but also, like, it does have the potential for some really interesting cheeky strategies.
Right.
You know, I didn't even think about the possibility of, like, a hidden...
Oh my god.
Oh my god, there is. I didn't actually see that before.
It's like a little worker trim.
Oh, I can't really go into this mode very easily because of the terrain has decided to delete itself. Classic editor move there, but
nice.
You can pretty easily block off all of these worker paths as well.
That's funny.
Okay, and there is a Reaper path up into the main from behind the natural mineral line as well.
I can't reach it as Zerg because my creep doesn't reach.
There's a Reaper here, and that looks like it at the moment.
Up into the main is what I said.
I believe that this is available for Reapers. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I think that's the only one. But that's fine.
Yeah. There's
as
one
long
right
as
there.
as long as there actually is a Reaper path, I'm okay with that.
Dude, I hate when the editor just decides to take away my terrain privileges.
I think I do wonder how the one game I played on this, I tested earlier. I played a game against a friend of mine. This map feels really small. I don't actually know how big the map is, but it definitely feels very small when you're playing on it. And it's like, it looks choky. It feels even more choky than it looks.
Yeah.
It's
And,
actually,
I mean,
it's
that was what I
actually
was-
pretty. In terms of dimensions, it's 158, which is larger than any of the other finalists.
What was Frost? Is it really?
Yeah,
Frost-
I mean,
Frost is
the map
huge.
overall is big, but it's choky, so it feels claustrophobic. So what I wanted to say that you just reminded me of, Miro, is that
And it's slightly smaller
the
than
third
Frost.
bases kind of suck from my perspective. Because you know me, I
Yeah.
like to expand to the triangle third, and you know my problem that I have with every triangle third ever for like the last 5 years. It just, for some reason, we just don't like triangle thirds anymore, I guess. And this map, it has 2 triangle thirds, I guess, basically. Because like neither of these are really linear. I guess you could see both of them as linear or a triangle, you know? Because if you
Depends
think
on
about
which
it,
side
like,
you're
I
coming
know what
from.
you mean. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little bit weird. It's like
You have.
these
I would
are
argue that you
triangles,
have
but they're
less-
also just a line. So
You have a less exposed main and nat slightly from taking this one. I think if you take the top one, then they could potentially drop in that unbuildable zone, and that could be terrifying because how are you
Yeah.
gonna fight into that if you're going
because
like a
this is
circling
unbuildable,
composition?
so I can't put a spore here.
Yep.
I hate
yeah,
that.
right.
I
there,
fucking
yeah.
hate that.
Yeah,
That's
but if you
retarded.
didn't do that,
I'm
then
sorry.
cannon rushes
Like-
would be
Why?
like if you didn't do that, then cannon rushes would like dominate that area. Like you literally wouldn't be
Well-
able to take that because that would just be cannon rush.
Then
A
just
lot of my
open it up.
argument against any kind of concessions of like unbuildable or putting individual spots of stuff or using unbuildable plates or anything is that I generally just try to make it so that I don't have to do that in the first place. I like remake my mineral line until it works. However, obviously in this layout, like everything is very compact in these first few bases.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. You also you don't want to just make that unpathable because that opens up a lot of other abuses, but like still it's always a little jank when you have to do something to stop a cannon rush in
Yeah.
that kind of
I
area.
do have to agree though that I feel like the idea of putting a mine or an adept back there is kind of scary
Like,
because
I would kind of like it if this happened, you know, if
Yeah,
you push
or
this one
Yeah.
move
further.
the gas down, or move the terrain above the gas so that you can get around the gas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that could potentially really suck with.
But
I
there's
mean,
also-
Omni chat said mines, adepts, mutas, prisms, etc.
Yeah. There's also the question of efficiency of mining, right? Because there's always been, you know, with Lost and Found, I think it was, the 3-player map two map pools ago had
That wasn't Lost and Found.
issues. The 3-player map? It
No,
was something
Lost
like
and
that.
Found was
was not
like
a 3-player.
2017, right?
Oh yeah, okay. So
Or 2019.
Last Fantasy is what I'm thinking of. Sorry.
Yes. Okay.
Had one base where it was just like you were mining slightly less than the other spawns. So
Yeah.
if you got that, you weren't necessarily fucked, but it definitely made you know, if you're trying to do certain builds that were very, very tight on minerals or gas or whatever, you noticed. So
Yeah.
I don't know how shifting the gas would actually work around that.
All I can say is that 3 and 4 player maps are they make you question religion or sanity or anything. Like, how could a benevolent god have created the StarCraft 2 editor? You know, like.
I don't know. I see 2 editors pretty good. No, okay. So I do. I had something that I wanted to. I wanted to say about this though, because like, so we talked about this before when you were on the show previously, Tac. So my issue with these third base, the triangle third base locations, it seems like usually the linear third base doesn't have this problem in modern map design, but the triangle third base always has this problem. And the problem being that there's always going to be somewhere that somebody can hit you from where they can just retreat to somewhere safe. Like some sort of terrain feature that they can use against you. And this is usually going to be Terran, but, you know, Protoss can do it too. But I mean, like, if you have this base down here and they come hit you from this angle, like, they can retreat to this ramp. They can use these rocks and, like, boost behind these, you know? They can boost over here and get over here. You know, there's different things that they can do where it's, like, within the distance that it would take you to be able to actually reach their army, right? So it's like the punishment for them attacking you is that you get punished. Like, even if you're in position, right? Like, they show up and then you're like, okay, I'm going to chase you back. And then they get a little bit far away. And then, you know, it's like your lings are starting to make the connection. And then they'll pick up, boost out, or they go up over this ramp over here and they've got tanks over here, widow mines, something like that, right? And this is like the same story with like all of these third base locations. And on this map, I don't like it because it's both of these areas have this problem, you know? It's like it's not even a choice between, do I want the safer but kind of shittier linear third, or do I want the triangle third? It's like they're both kind of triangle thirds that have the same issues. I
mean, yeah, if the enemy sets up, you're going to suffer for it. Somebody in chat, Elemo, you're saying, yeah, you need map vision to prevent these things from happening, and yeah, that's kind of true. If the Terran is able to set up a field of widow mines, liberators, or tanks and all that kind of stuff, then you didn't see this coming for quite a while, you know?
Well,
And
my point would
just-
be you don't really have the distance. Like, you as Zerg, like, you're restricted by creep, right? So like you can't really just
Right.
control those areas, you know. You can't just like park an overlord there and be like, okay, I'm aware that you're coming in from this angle or whatever. Like, and when there's like 6 different fucking spots that they can go to, it's kind of like, all right, I can't cover all of that. You get what I'm saying? Like, if there's one or two spots where it's like that and I just have to keep tabs on that, it's like, yeah, sure, whatever. You know, when I started playing Dusk Towers was in the pool, and there was that that nasty spot over the third that was in front of your natural. And that nasty spot, like, if they put tanks up there and you weren't ready, it was like, holy shit, so bad for you, right? But it was like one spot that you had to keep aware of. You know what I mean? It's not like every base that I take has like 3 or 4 spots surrounding it that I have to monitor. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
it's just the feature
definitely-
density is way too high right now. And I just would prefer that we pare that back a little bit, you know? I
The
guess
good
if
thing
I
about
had
this
to-
map is
If I had to
there
like
is actually
say what
Sorry,
I
go.
want for like my ideal maps, I guess, that I felt were like really balanced and refined, it would be like top 3 off the top of my head, and if Probe is still in chat, he'll remember. Lost and Found, Ultralove, shout out, and 16-bit.
Oh,
those
16-bit,
are
God,
my
yeah.
top 3.
16-bit, yeah.
Yeah,
Funny
yeah.
that because 16-bit, I've always loved the aesthetic of that, which was a major influence for Ultralove.
Same.
But like, I don't for a lot of these kinds of features that you're describing, the important thing for balance and for the game being fun is just that, I mean, it is breakable and that you can continue playing from it. So like, if we look at the left base here, I feel like there are enough flank paths that you can still quite easily maybe not quite easily, but you can still dislodge some, even if they do set up, you know. It's not a game over.
The pathing around the map is relatively decent, if very
Mm-hmm.
choky in points. Like
Mhm.
I will say, depending on where you spawn, the map feels deceptively small.
Yeah.
So if you spawn in the horizontal spawns, my god, like you are so close. Like you are so unbelievably close. I played a game earlier on this map with my friend, and we were literally like, I could almost see his base from mine. It was 1.5 screens away at most.
I think we played one as well, if I remember
don't-
right.
I don't know if we might have played one on this map. Yeah.
I feel like we did. It was a while ago, though.
You've also got these you've got good uses of rocks, honestly, and places on this map to actually add distance between like players who spawn.
And force you
I don't know,
to move
next to each
around.
other, yeah.
Is this a
rather than right
Zelnaga in
next
the
to each
center,
other.
by the way?
I
No.
don't actually think it is. No,
It's not a Zelnaga?
No, it's a
Oh.
marine statue.
no, it's
Big
The
that
boy.
marine
way.
statue!
Yeah,
Okay.
the pride of Core Hall. Yeah.
Okay.
I will say,
I
something
missed
that
I missed the
Ilemo-
Zelnagas. It's a no creep zone? Why?
Wait. Really?
For what reason? Just because fuck Zerg?
Wait a
Is it
minute.
actually in a creep zone?
I mean,
It
Probe
might be a
made
no
the map.
creep
He's
zone.
saying it's a no creep zone.
Yeah,
Cross spawns TVZ
It's
was a mega
where do
broken.
we-
Map was way too big. Okay. So you felt like Zerg was just too strong on it.
How do you see the no creep zone, Omni? Is it do I need to turn on helpers?
center only affects. Yeah, that is true. Center does only affect cross spawn, but it's not like you can't have creep going around the very center of the map, though. It's not
I
like you
mean,
don't
it'll
have other
take you
pathways you can creep
an
around.
extra
It'll take
2
longer.
minimum.
It'll definitely take longer. There's something I will say about that Ilimo mentioned was, it's okay to have frustrating things in maps, and we've talked about this in the past with things like Widow Mines. It's okay to have frustrating moments,
Oh yeah.
and I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing to have on maps either. But I do think it has to be done very carefully as well.
Yeah.
I still don't see
more
it. Did they maybe remove it, Omni? Or am I just like completely blind here? I mean, I have lost so much of my terrain. I do think it's funny that these street lights are giving me a little bit of the terrain back. But
Oh, it's a pain.
Oh, it's a pain.
Okay.
Hmm.
So I want to ask then, like
which paint is it?
I have to say, like, I initially started out hating this map, but I've played a couple of games on it now,
Hey, thanks
and
for the follow.
I don't actually hate it as much as I thought I did. And I've found that it definitely has points where it can be enjoyable playing both Terran and Zerg, but I do think it's a much better map for Terran, to be honest, because of how choky it is.
Yeah. I mean, I will
There it
say
is.
it does remind me kind of there's I think it's a 4v4 map that has like the same tile set right now, and it's a similar size. And like every time I play on like a large map, it's just like, oh yeah, that's right. Like large maps are just good for Zerg.
Yeah,
Like you just sort of like
large
get
maps
that
are just
vibe. You're
very
like,
good
oh
for
yeah,
Zerg.
right.
Mhm.
It's like your push
And-
takes longer to hit me. I can make more drones. Like it's just you feel it.
which is part of the reason why I'm
Creep
kind
is
of like
easier to spread.
Creep is easier
I-
to spread. Yeah, it's harder for them to deal with creep, and their units are like so much further away that like even just the simple act of like moving between your army and your base is like it feels harder to do because the distance is larger.
Yeah, and I do actually feel like I like I said, I initially hated this map, but the more I play on it, I feel like it's actually been done in a manner that makes it relatively balanced for both cross spawn and horizontal spawn, and that's really difficult to do because, like, historically, 4-player maps have just been, oh, if you're cross spawn against a zone, you're fucked, and there's no hope. And that
Also, congratulations, Omni, for getting another ladder map. That's really fun. You've been plugging away with this one, especially for a few TLMCs, so it's fun to actually see it get through. Just want
Did
to
he have another one before?
throw that one out
What was
there.
the other one?
Neo-Humanity. It's the one that that got us on a lot of trouble as map makers because he had a custom rock texture.
Neo
Of course.
Humanity. Hang on.
Oh,
I recognize the
yeah,
name,
yeah,
but
yeah,
for
this
some
one.
reason it's not coming up in my head.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember this map.
Am I not
I will
remembering
open it
this
on
map?
mine as well.
What year was this?
Till 2020?
Was it 2019?
It was
think it might have been.
No, it can't have been
No.
2020. Neo-Humanity.
2023.
2023. Man, time has just warped since 2020.
This must have been like right before I came back to Starcraft.
Yeah, so Neo-Humanity was actually it was pretty cool.
I feel like I
Um,
missed this entirely.
But people always complained about those 2 custom rocks because they were always surprised by it, which
Okay.
is just very funny.
I'd love to keep talking about this, but I'm realizing we're already almost an hour
We're
and a
like
half in.
way over time
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Yeah, we gotta move
We
way
have-
faster.
2 more maps that we have to look at. And
Yeah.
one of those is Blackrock, and the other one is
okay.
fucking
Washout.
Can't remember.
Washout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
The good
let me,
news is
here, I'm
Washout is
pulling up
relatively
Washout.
standard.
Washout is an odd map, and partly because of the rocks in the center, and partly because you have so many bases that are hybrid bases.
Hybrid bases aren't automatically very odd. I mean, so
No,
rich gases, rich minerals only really matter earlier into the game. The only effect rich gases, rich minerals have later into a game is that they mine out quicker, so you have to hold a base for less time.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I
These
mean,
have
technically,
very little
you can
impact.
get away with less workers because it has a higher mining rate. So that is a difference. Like,
I want to
So-
point out, gold minerals on late game bases are the diversity higher of map features.
So the one,
all right, all right.
I think the biggest criticism I have about this map, and Tac, you'll remember this because I talked to you about this when we were first looking at it, is there are collapsible rock towers in positions where some of the positions feel like there is a question of why the fuck is this there? It's never going to get used. And I'm particularly thinking about the one that is behind the triangle 4th.
Yeah. So counterpoint, they have 500 HP. I can't remember if they have armor or not, but those things, if you send in one void ray into that dead space right there, and your ally or not your ally, your opponent wants to take that base at some point, you can just kill those rocks and deny them. I don't remember if it was 3 or 4 patches of mining later on. Like that's kind of crazy. 100% that can and probably will get used.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of the destroying minerals mechanic at all. I'm not gonna lie. You know, I don't think it's the worst idea that we've had. Like, I like it a lot more than I like speed zones or healing shrines. I'll put that out there.
I like
Like-
speed zones quite a bit.
I
Healing
don't.
shrines, I feel like, are not implemented in the correct way. I feel like healing shrines should have a lot weaker of a healing effect, but then it's like a behavior that's applied that lasts like 10 seconds, so you can kind of walk through it or something, so that it doesn't
Okay.
like force you to stay in the same area for a while and interrupt gameplay. Or like maybe it overheals or something. I don't know. I feel like there's other implementations that make it much more interesting on an as a feature that just like assists
Yeah.
the speed of gameplay instead of interrupts it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
To me, I have a hard time explaining this because it just bothers me on a level that like, it's like a fundamental level where it just doesn't feel like it belongs in StarCraft. You know, like what's weird about it is like I'm fine with it being an RTS, just not StarCraft. Like it feels like a Warcraft 3 feature, and I like Warcraft 3. Like I actually started playing it recently again because of all the like recent features and conversations and like the map design and worker counts and all this stuff. Like it feels like we're going in the Warcraft 3 direction. And I'm like, I'll just play Warcraft 3 then, because I like that game. But I would just, you know, like them to stay separate. If that makes any sense. Like, I don't know, it just feels weirdly, like, too arcadey to me. You know what I mean? It feels too, like...
I disagree.
I don't know, like, space magic-y. Like, I don't know. I guess a comparison... Like, if I'm trying to make, like, a slippery slope argument, I guess, which I'm not... But like, I'm trying to say like, to me it feels like if you were to like say, let's say we'll have this area in the center. The first person who reaches there, they roll a d6 and then they get that many hundreds of minerals, and it happens once per game. Like, like that would be kind of stupid, right?
I feel like you would have a lot better argument if you went for like something a few people have been floating around, which is like creep camps, you know, because
creep camps, yeah.
Creep camps is a much more normal potential like thing.
Sure.
So like I've seen even a few mods where like Xel'Naga towers will have a couple things around it, or you like capture the Xel'Naga and it gives you some money and stuff.
Right.
That kind of stuff is more StarCraft filled, but
I don't think that feels like StarCraft if you're taking creep camps.
If we're making the slope argument, right?
Well, it's like I'm not like it. But like I'm trying to make the argument that like I feel like certain things are within a category that like belongs in StarCraft, and then like certain things are just like over the line for me, right? And like that line is going to be different for everybody, you know. And
so
for me, that line is, you know, speed zones and healing shrines and shit.
Counterpoint. You mentioned space magic. I mean, look at the entirety of Protoss.
Yeah.
so here's the
but
solution.
That's Protoss.
Right? Okay, no. Here's the solution in the way that you make it feel like healing shrines actually fit is you make a map that is literally like a Protoss map, like the entire ship is based around like an ancient arc ship of this ancient space magic, and then you have the healing shrine that's there as part of the story.
So it just needs to be more diegetic. You know, it just needs to like fit in the universe. You know, it needs to have like an in-universe explanation for why the healing. You might be right. That legit might be the reason. You know, because honestly, like that might actually be the reason. Because when I think about like what the healing shrine is and like the speed zone is, that's one of the things that bothers me. Did you just bring up a map that I was thinking about earlier today and I forgot the name of?
The grid. Yeah. No, I'm in your head.
No, wait. Hang on, can you zoom out all the way?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it's
map.
not. Wait. Is this the map I was... Is this 2016 Legacy of the Void launch map pool?
No. This is something else.
No, but
there was a similar one.
I mean, I just deleted a Xel'Naga tower and added a healing shrine because this was the wrong version of the map. But this is the kind of thing that is also really cool for it. In the newer version of this, where they did have a healing shrine, they put like medical bay and they put like tubes coming out of it and stuff. Like they did that kind of thing where they made it real diegetic. I mainly focus on gameplay. I mainly focus on gameplay stuff. I don't feel like the healing shrine in its current implementation plays well with gameplay, because it's like, all right, now sit still on this spot while you heal for free. I don't like that very much. I prefer a better implementation of the same idea of the feature, which to me would probably be like a heal over time that persists for 5 seconds after you leave the healing shrine. Something like that, you know?
Yeah.
Or just an implementation. Or like, it could also be interesting to have that give an overheal
Yeah.
That
I mean,
would
you-
make
you
it
could
a
have it be
huge
like-
advantage to go to
like
the healing
a-
shrine and then have a bunch of lings come in and then they tank an extra hit from a tank or something, you know?
Right.
So it's funny you
etc.
mentioned that. I watched a game the other day where Clem stemmed his entire Marine army across the map. He was doing like a 3 racks, and he moved them deliberately through the healing shrine, so they kept the move speed and healed off the damage as they were running to the other side of the map. And it's like, that's kind of a really cool use of a healing shrine because it's something
Yeah.
you never see. And I think that's a good thing. But I also think that most of the time, the way healing shrines are implemented is just not right.
Yeah, I don't want healing
yeah.
shrines to slow down the game. I want them to ideally, at the worst, keep the pace. Because
Yeah.
in and of itself, being able to heal units for free is something that can make the game go a lot slower. But if we make it so that you just have to touch it and then leave, then it doesn't really slow anything down.
The
in
main
terms of
concern
at least
is-
army movements or anything. I don't know.
The main concern is
a
always
nitpick.
around like Sky Toss battle cruisers and
Right.
ultras and all these super tanky high HP units that are really hard to kill.
Though,
Yeah, well,
an
and stuff in the
interesting
early
point-
game that like
Yeah.
retreats to that.
Oracles
Like,
are a big
yeah,
one.
Yeah,
Yeah, oracles definitely.
any of the early
Um,
game like map presence tools. We are spending a lot of time talking about healing shrines though, and there's not a healing shrine on this map.
Going
So-
back to the map.
Yeah. Last thing on that is that I don't know why you said you don't like speed zones. I feel like those are excellent.
Yeah, I mean, that's just where the line is for me. Like it just doesn't
Do
feel
you
like
like
it belongs in
worker paths?
StarCraft. I don't know if that. I don't really know how to explain it further than that. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in the universe.
Do you like worker paths? That's a good question, Tack.
No. No,
Why?
I don't
Do you
like worker paths.
Do you like rock towers?
Yeah, like
And
collapsible
how
rock
about-
towers.
How
Yeah.
about
Oh
Zerg
hell yeah.
rocks then?
What about
Rocks.
Zerg rocks. The
Zerg
ones
rocks?
that decay.
No, I don't like Zerg rocks because they affect Zerg differently.
Man.
And there's no advantage that I get from it affecting me differently. If Zerg benefited from using rocks, if it was the kind of race that actually wanted rocks, then I would love them. Because it's like, you would have a reason. I don't like it because it's a feature that directly says to one race, fuck you. That's why I don't like them. I hope that makes sense. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
would
mean,
be the
that's
same as
fair
if you
enough,
had
I
like rocks that, gosh, I don't even know how to like invert that, because the other races like want rocks.
Well,
Like,
there have been a few cases that I've seen of Zerg rocks actually benefiting a Zerg, especially when
Which
it's like
ones?
further away from a base and it cuts off half the map so that you can't. Only the defender can get to this side of the map. Like
huh?
it's like a golden. There have been a few golden wall kind of prototypes with Zerg rocks that allow Zerg to actually expand.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That
where,
kind of
like
thing.
you get
There are
access to that
situations where it
back
can help,
area, but like you opened it up
Exactly.
on your side, but it's blocked on their side,
Yeah, that kind of thing.
and then because you
And
put
also,
creep
as
there,
a map making
can
tool,
keep it
they're
there. I
so
don't know.
great. Like, I really love them with map making because they allow you to make like a lot more open layouts in some cases that are a lot more closed early on. It can be really nice in that.
yeah.
I've had a few prototypes that
I
I've
just
been
don't
working
like
on for
how,
that. But
like,
anyways,
if I say like I get punished for spreading my creep well is the biggest problem that I have with that, because it's like now I have to spend time dedicating like to having my army attacking these fucking rocks, and like I can't tell you how many fucking times I've been clearing rocks and then like somebody boosts into my main and I'm like, cool, I'm halfway in the middle of the map dealing with these fucking rocks right now. Like,
the trade-off, of course, is that the Zerg rocks being there in the first place allow us to make something that is very different. So, like, Zerg rocks being destroyed after 8 minutes, lets us close off a very open map for a limited time, which, like, once
fair,
they're down, can
but-
mean that it's a lot more open for you later.
But you can do
I mean,
that without
you know,
it affecting Zerg uniquely, is my point. Like, if that's what you wanted them for, then you could set up rocks that, like, just had a hit point that cooled down, or that, ticked down over time. and then they just die at the end of the timer.
Well,
And creep has nothing to do with it.
we can't is the problem. We just don't have that
You
tool.
don't have
So
the technology.
I mean, yeah,
Sure you
we
do,
don't have
though.
the technology.
No, hang on. Yes, you do.
Okay.
Make it a Terran structure and then have it burn down. Problem
Blizzard won't
solved.
let us have that technology, is what I meant.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I actually,
Well, then
that's-
also
that's
the
a
other
fair
problem with
point.
that is then Terran can repair it.
You could have
that
a
would be
neutral.
really bad.
You could have a neutral
Oh, no.
barracks on the map that does nothing and is just burning down over time. That's a fair point because Terran's not going to be able to repair a neutral building. Are they?
No, they can.
Well, then the problem
wait.
is that it
you're
has
right.
too little HP because it'll have about 500 HP when it starts burning down, or maybe 300.
Do it
And
as a command
rocks
center.
Yeah, the hit
Rocks
points would have
start
to be
with
massive.
2,000 HP, and command center start with 1,500. So they don't.
Okay,
it
so you
wouldn't
start with
function very well.
750 or
as it.
yeah.
We'd
I
have
suppose
to
that's
make a
true.
new unit for it. Is
Yeah.
basically what I'm trying to
Okay.
say here.
Yeah.
Don't actually have a whole lot to say about this map other than my initial complaint, which is fair enough. I can absolutely see how it could be used, but I still don't think it's going to be something that's going to be used a whole lot. I do like the version, I do like the rocks that are kind of down on the low ground because they're a lot more accessible to be destroyed. Things like siege tanks and lurkers and stuff can attack them from the attacking army to destroy the minerals fields on that point of view.
yeah.
I think these will get used. I mean, it's going to ladder, right? I definitely think all these destructible minerals will get used. My main concern personally is that it is just very easy to knock down all of these rocks. If you go for any ranged unit, then you could probably just sick like 2 stalkers at some point in the game to go attack these preemptively if they're going to go to your opponent's bases, right? You just like go send a stalker or 2 to go attack these, and then they'll get knocked, you know? Omni says he's never seen these towers destroyed. I feel like if at the pro scene, once they actually realize that they can just deny like 3,000 minerals per base, then it should be pretty trivial, given any actual effort.
I have seen it happen a couple of times in later game stages, but it's very rare.
It's frustrating because this is one of the things where like theory crafting or whatever, like it is incredibly easy. That's a great point with Alcyone though. Theoretically, this should be incredibly easy to do, but I guess we had that map, and that was a great map on that pool. The thing I ended up seeing players destroying those rock towers for ended up almost always being, I want to attack through this area, or like I'm already attacking this base, so I might as well kill the entire resources on this base and then destroy the rocks and then walk through to attack.
Yeah.
In my ladder games, that's how it always worked, and I actually feel like that execution is much better because not only did it destroy the resources, but it was in a...
It also opened up a pathway too.
Exactly. It opens up a pathway very prematurely. If your opponent is actively mining them, it's very often like sooner, and I don't know. I feel like this is just a worse execution of the same kind of...
Tokamak, yeah. That's the map, Tokamak.
I thought it was...
No, Alcyone was different. Anyway.
Was that really last map pool? No way.
It was Tokamak.
Feels so long ago.
Yeah.
Tokamak was...
great feature. Just a great feature right there.
It was 2 map pools ago.
Right. I remember these. Yeah.
End
I
of
totally forgot about
2025.
these.
And I really like that the resources it destroys are the blue minerals, and the rich minerals are the ones remaining. So you'll
liked
mine
that
them
too.
out sooner. If the blue minerals aren't destroyed, then they're relevant for longer. If they are destroyed, then you mine out the base quicker, and then the feature is over. Like, it's just... I feel like this feature was just really, really well executed.
Yeah,
I
it's a good
remember
But,
it not really bothering me, you know, and I'm, the guy who hates all this fancy map shit.
Yeah, you hate fun.
I hate fun, I'm anti-fun.
Yeah.
Just give me a blank map, you know? Just let me zerg everywhere, bro.
Just
What's the
flat
problem?
map.
I don't understand.
Let me fix this map for you real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll just-
Yeah, please,
we'll just,
let's just
fly
remove
around
everything, you know?
All right.
You're beating me
last
to it. I was
one.
gonna do this with BlackRock and just like remove all the features. There
Yeah,
you go.
All right,
Here we
perfect
go.
map
This is
rule
looking better
incoming.
already.
I don't know why the aspect ratio just changed.
That is just,
So-
yeah, I don't know.
Yes.
Editor questions. Yeah.
Last one's BlackRock, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me pull that up.
So I love the initially I didn't like the concept of a two level map, but the more I looked at this map and the more I played around with it, I actually found I really enjoyed it.
Yep.
I will say the linear third base, the choke point there is really tight, like deceptively small.
What are you talking about? This choke point? Are you talking about this over here? Are you talking about this over
The
here?
choke point by where the gases are,
This one?
like between for the linear third, right? Like that choke point is fucking tiny. It's really small. Not the like. I don't know how I can show this, but it's like I was
Choke point by
I'm
the
thinking
linear
linear
third,
third,
let's
so I'm
see.
thinking this base, right?
yeah, it is linear third, yeah.
And
So
then these are the
linear
gases
third.
right here.
Yeah,
So are you
and
talking
it's
like this choke?
Yeah,
Or do you mean-
literally the choke point that is made by where the gases are, like just the north
Oh,
and south, like that is so small.
I see.
To the point where you almost struggle to move through it.
Oh,
Oh, Jesus. I saw that.
no, I just edited out of it. I'm reopening the editor. I'm not dealing with that again.
Like I put a command center there and built a
I'm trying to
supply
figure out what you're talking
depot
about.
supply depot path. So I'll take a screenshot and show you what I mean.
That's kind of crazy. Also, I have this map open in the editor, so I could just look in the editor. Hang on. I gotta show it on stream so that people can actually see it.
Yeah, just to the right of where the base is on the linear third.
Like if
Like this?
So I did this in a game earlier, and I want to be very clear. Like this is so absolutely absolutely disgustingly tiny.
Aspect ratio look wrong. Okay.
I just linked it to you guys.
It wants me to open it. All right. Here it is.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
that is
spot
a
there.
really small choke point.
And probably.
Yeah.
And I mean, yes, I know I'm narrowing it with supply depots, but like if you're a Terran player, you're always going to do that. You're never not going to do that,
So-
to the point where it basically makes attacking from that point almost impossible.
Thank you, editor. I must have some settings somewhere. Let's.
Can I put a refinery on the gas? No.
What the heck?
Can I fit a missile turret in there or supply depot something?
Hey, Omni, do
can't
you know
fit
if this is a
anything on.
setting I have on or off, or is it just corrupting upon opening these every time?
So you know what you can fit there? You can fit a sensor tower
Sensor tower? Really?
because it's one wide. It's one square.
Oh my god, yeah. Wow. That's funny. Yeah, I was thinking
Well-
auto turret, you know? Creep tumor, you know?
What I really like about this map is that It is. I really love the two terrain levels maps. This one feels like. What's the problem? Black.
The blackness. Well, I've got it open on my screen. Unfortunately, it's showing all the emitters. I don't know why.
So it is,
go to view, show names, and deselect the point names.
Oh boy. Show
something I will
names,
say about this map. Trying
points.
to turn this back before we
There
end
we
up
go.
having to go because we've been almost 2 hours doing this.
Yeah, I don't know how that
something-
keeps
some-
happening.
Something I will say is like I love the use of the line of sight blockers. This map reminds me so much of Dreamcatcher, and Dreamcatcher is such a unique map with how it played and how it worked. And I feel like this is a very unique map for a very similar reason, is because a lot of the terrain features came down to how the line of sight blockers were used. You also have a lot of rocks on this map, which narrow choke points and pathways, and some of those I don't necessarily feel are needed, and some of them I think are very good positionally. But I do think that the line of sight blockers create pseudo choke points in their own way that you can play around a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely, I would agree overall with what you're saying, you know, in terms of, you know, trying to make use of 2 levels instead of 3 and make it still interesting. You know, I think this is a good way to do it. My overall thoughts are, you know, similar. As always, I just think like feature density is just way too high. You know what I mean? Or to be fair, like a little bit too high. I don't think it's that crazy. You know what I mean? It's still like playable. It's just like I'm not enjoying the way that modern maps are designed, because it's like there's just nowhere large enough for me to get a good surround. You know?
I do feel like there have been, and I actually think this map is a little bit egregious with it. There is definitely spawn points where this map feels like it's very tight. Like it just feels very tight, you know?
It's a 2-player map.
For those who are watching YouTube, this is coming. Tac is talking to Omni Skeptic in the chat.
Oh yeah. No, I was talking to you. Like you mentioned spawn, like depending on your spawn point, it could be really tight, but it's a 1v1 map. There's only 2 spawns on this map. I don't know what you mean. Like, what do you mean by that?
I missed that entirely.
Miro said that there were something about how, like, depending on your spawn point, the map can be really
No, I didn't
tight,
say anything about spawn points. I just said that I said that the map
depending on your spawn or something
feels very choky in areas, and a lot of maps recently have trended towards being a lot more closed and a lot more tight. And
I see.
In some cases, that's not necessarily a bad thing. In other cases, it is.
We're talking about the anal bead map design is what we're talking about.
Taito Citadel is one that I feel has gone the opposite direction, and where it's kind of choky in like one specific area, and then everywhere else it's so open that it feels impossible to hold if you're playing Terran.
I mean,
I want to point out that
Dreamcatcher.
the current map pool, is like abysmally choked, in my opinion. Like we got all of the choked maps on ladder at once. Yeah. So what I've done in my editor, I just removed all the line of sight blockers. I removed all the stationary rocks and stuff, and it looks a lot more open when you do this. But like, yeah, I do still see it. There's still good chokes here. What I really liked about all of this map, though, is just how it uses, especially the line of sight blockers, to turn relatively open fields into something like into
Much
something
narrower.
workable. Yeah, into something
Yeah.
workable.
Oh wow.
for
Yeah.
Terran.
I didn't even notice this base right here. It's just basically open.
Yeah, there's this right here. There's this right here. Like once this opens up, there's just a path through all of this. It's like once this map goes through the later stages, it opens up really hard.
Yeah. One
Um,
thing that is kind of interesting though is just like, I mean, those bases are kind of in the center, so I guess they're kind of winner spaces,
these-
but they're also very vulnerable winner spaces, which is a good way to do
Kind
them,
of.
right?
You can
Yeah, but
close
that's-
off this, and there are the other main feature that we haven't even mentioned yet is the high ground tank spots.
Oh god.
There are high ground tank spots right here,
Yeah.
Each of these platforms. Oh my goodness! Do
Questionable.
not click that button. So they're all marked by these wooden platforms, and there's always like one of these umbrellas nearby. Very Warcraft kind of vibe.
Oh, the tank spots?
watchtowers.
I didn't realize
Those are tank spots.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you
and
can
what
put
it
tanks
is
there.
is
Oh, and you can
these
destroy
rock
them with the
towers-
destructible rocks. Oh,
exactly.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting.
So the
if you
reason I
destroy-
deleted.
So, quick question: if you destroy the destructible rocks and then destroy the debris after, does it open the tank spot up again, or does it?
Yeah,
Is it
I
permanently
believe so.
Hmm.
Okay.
That'll take a minute though.
It will take a minute. Yeah.
And also, of course, what I did, the reason I deleted, like Omni is saying in chat, I deleted all of the line of sight blockers and all the 6x6 and 4x4 rocks so that we could see how open this really is. Those line of sight blockers make this look way more choked than it really is, because
Yeah.
Zerglings can run through those. Those are very deceptive, and that is kind of why I really like this map, is because it uses those line of sight blockers really well to half close up areas.
Yeah.
You know?
I will say, I like the way it's designed, and it does feel more choky than it actually is. My big concern is that a number of the maps that we've seen so far, I don't know that there's really been any exception. Feels like you're going to get to a point where every game tends or trends towards the macro game, with the possible exception of Fear and Faith because of the worker paths into the main base.
Well,
And
I would say there's also that would be cheesed, right?
Yeah, it would be cheese, but it bothers me that there are so many maps in recent times, and part of the reason why we have trended towards the long macro games is because it's very hard to aggress into third bases and fourth bases and onwards in recent times, because they've become really choked up.
Yep.
And that's part of the problem. The other part of the problem is that timing attacks have become weaker because we've been trying to nerf frustrating things.
Yeah,
Well.
and you get free scouting eternally with energy recharge.
And you get
Yep.
free scouting entirely with energy recharge.
Okay, so wait. What you just said brings up something that I really wanted to talk about, and this is kind of what I was joking about earlier when you were like leveling out all of what was that, Matt Washout?
Yeah.
But yeah.
It
So
got
like,
washed out.
yeah, yeah, it got washed out. We washed it out. So one of the things that has been really bothering me is how like every third base, like you were saying, choked up, and like I talked about previously on Fear and Faith, like it feels like there's always somewhere like within a short distance, like close enough that if I'm defending, even if I'm like at my base, right, and you show up to attack me, my lings, like they still, they're melee units, right? They still have to close the gap to be able to attack, right? The time it takes me to do that, you could just be kiting backwards and then stim and boost out, or go to a choke point or line of sight blocker or some terrain feature that you can abuse, right? And then that swings the fight into their favor again, right? So you'll have, equal armies, but then the terrain swings the fight into the Terran's advantage. And I'm just using Terran as an example here because that's kind of the most extreme difference here. So What I would prefer is if instead of doing this on every fucking third base, we instead removed a bunch of this shit. And I'm gonna try to do this here, and it's taking forever as the editor. But yeah, if we just like removed a bunch of this shit and made the third bases like a lot more open, that would just be a lot easier for me to manage as a Zerg player, because that just makes more sense for like the choice between a linear base or like a triangle base that's exposed, right? And you know, on the flip side, that also helps Zerg in attacking your opponent, because if that base is more exposed, it's like a lot easier for you to actually get in there and do something, right? And then also, like from Terran and Protoss perspective, countering Zerg, like, you know, it being open is kind of good for you in some ways too, because, you know, that way it's a lot harder for Zerg to like just cover a certain area, right? If they know which
it's
path
also
you're going to
easier
come
to
in
split
from.
if you're splitting away in an open area.
Exactly.
It's much easier
Yeah.
to split in a larger area than a small one.
Yeah. Like, there's just a lot of things about it that, like, you know, they do make it nicer sometimes for the attacker.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remove this terrain here. I need to make my brush bigger. Same level clip. Here we go.
Anyway,
Remove all this
yeah,
shit.
It's
Yeah, like, I'm fine with there
Right,
even
yeah.
being, like, a rock here or whatever, you know, right? But when it's, like, it's so choked up, you know, that feels crazy, right? Like, I would probably, like, get rid of, like, these rocks, which
The
I
rocks
I think
thought
by
were-
corners
the
are pretty
triangle
proper,
third.
actually.
The rocks by the
Look at the
triangle third
corners.
need to go. Honestly, the rocks by the triangle third just need to straight up leave. Like they make it so tight,
Yeah.
and that's exactly the sort of thing you were talking about earlier. Is where it just makes
Hey,
it
thanks for the
really
follow.
hard to ever aggress into, and taking triangle thirds becomes. You have had the problem of there's always something behind the rocks. There's always something over there that you can't get to, and
Yeah.
when your choke point is basically the size of a one wide ramp at a third base, that's not a good choke point.
Yeah. Yeah, I think just, you know, overall, this is like probably my biggest complaint with the maps, you know. Like, if I had to summarize my complaints with the last like few map pools, this has been going on for a while. I think just like too large, too big a like feature density, like too much feature density, where it's just like everything is packed so tight. And holy shit, Railgun with the 85 raid. Thank you so much, bro. Love your builds. The fast free roach and fast spire got me masters back in the day when the battlecruiser patch hit. I was like, oh, I got the perfect build in my back pocket. Thanks to Railgun.
Yeah, the feature density is a lot.
Yeah. You still play it nice. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thank you, Miro. Remembering what I was saying here. The feature density is too high on all the maps in the last few map pools, just from a Zerg perspective. Just feels a little bit, you know, choky, claustrophobic. There's nowhere that I can get good surrounds, you know? And then my other big complaint is the third base, like I was saying. You know, I think that there should be a choice between a linear third and a triangle third. And I think the triangle third should be open, like from the outside, because that makes it a clearer choice between the two. And like right now, it just feels like the triangle third is always terrible, and there's no reason to take it because the way that, you know, I cleared it right now, but here,
I
I'll
think the big
Control Z
problem
so we
with
can see it
that,
back.
though,
It drops
is
too.
okay. So I think the big problem with that though is if you're trying to take a third base, for Zerg, taking third base is rarely ever an issue because they get their third base really early, and this is with energy recharge and the safety of shield batteries and whatnot. That's kind of also been the same case for Protoss. If you're a Terran player trying to take a third base and your third base has a really wide open area, good luck trying to take that. It becomes fucking impossible. It really does. It's so tight to try and take that third base. Like
Yeah.
it's so hard to do. And I think that becomes a problem. But also conversely, we don't want to promote turtling by having super tight third bases as well. So I think that having one third base that is a little more enclosed and one third base that is a little more open is not necessarily a bad thing. And it does depend, like it does mean that the race that you play plays a little into your desired third base, but it also means like the triangle third, for example, is if you're playing Zerg, then your triangle third is also going to be closer to your opponent. So if you want to play more aggressively, then that's an advantage. It's not a disadvantage until they come over and attack you.
Yeah. I don't know. What you just said is kind of interesting because it kind of opened up my mindset to like why we often have those like choke points or like terrain features that are like far enough away from the third base that the attacker actually benefits from it. And like we talked about this previously when Tac was on here last time we talked about
Last
maps.
time.
And you put it a really good way. I can't remember exactly what you said, but it's something about like they're defending your base that they're attacking or something like that. I can't remember exactly what wording you used.
When you're having to fight into the attacking army. Yeah.
It's like suddenly they're able to, you know, they're turning your defensive position against you, right? And that's why, you know, features like this and stuff, they kind of remind me of that. But like what you just said about turtling and not wanting to encourage that kind of explains why I think maybe map makers have been putting that in there. I don't know. Just kind of guessing why I think they might be doing that. But yeah, it is something that bothers me.
One of the biggest drivers for a lot of map makers is just wanting to make something that's different, interesting, and doesn't break the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easier said than done.
Tired of making the same thing over and over and over again. Yeah. So there's a lot of like really crazy experiments, or like this is kind of one of them. Of just like, yeah, I just wanted to make a map where there are only 2 terrain levels. That's kind of been one of the white whales for a long time, is making a 2-level map that works.
I think it's cool.
There's a few people that want to make a 1-level map where the main is on the same level as everything else.
Now that would be ridiculous.
Yeah, it causes so many problems that we always scrap it and just go for 2 or 3, you know.
Like, wait. So when people try that, are they trying like, do you still have like bits of terrain, like little strips of terrain to create choke points for your natural and stuff like that? Or like, what do you do?
Yeah.
Do you just like dead space?
You only ever walk on one terrain level.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's the only one is walkable.
But everything else. Yeah, but you never go up or down in elevation, but there are like OV pillars and stuff, you know. Like that's very important.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about, like OV pillars and like just a place to make your choke point so you can wall.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine like you put 2 spawns down, like one top right and one bottom left, and then you just call it a day. That's your map, you know.
The perfect Zerg map. Miro. I didn't know you were looking out for me like that. Yeah.
The funny thing is, a lot of these all same level maps end up being somewhat anti-Zerg because you have to compensate so much for it being on the same level that you very often overcompensate.
Yeah,
and
I would imagine.
Well, it's very choky, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know what else are we thinking about BlackRock here.
Aesthetically, I
think
actually
it could
really
be opened up a little bit at the very least.
I do think it could be opened up, yeah. I think there are some line of sight blockers that could be removed, a couple of rocks that absolutely need to be removed. Maybe a little shift in some of the pathing areas to make it not quite as choky or tight. But all in all, I actually really like BlackRock. I love it aesthetically. I think the throwback to Warcraft 3 is really, really cool with the Orc Towers and everything. I think it's really, really well designed, even though I have my gripes with it. And it's actually a very visually beautiful map as well.
Yeah. It's probably my favorite map out of the new maps, even though like I think I'm probably not gonna enjoy it from like a Zerg player perspective. You know, I'm probably gonna enjoy like At Eternity's Edge more if it makes it in. But
Yeah.
you know, just overall, I like it. You know, I remember when I was looking at all the finalists, I was like, this is probably my favorite out of them, even though like I don't like a lot of things about this, like the insane amount of line of sight blockers and rocks everywhere is kind of overkill. You know what I mean? But like visually and in terms of, you know, the layout and stuff like that, like it's a cool map. I like the feel of it. I think I'm gonna enjoy playing on it.
Yeah, I think this is the map that I'm most excited to see. Followed probably by Fear and Faith, actually, despite my earlier misgivings and my initial kind of knee-jerk reaction I had when I was discussing it with Tac a few months ago. I actually have grown to like it.
It was easily the best submission from.
I won't say I love Fear and Faith because I don't like it aesthetically. I actually think aesthetically it's quite ugly. It's
I don't like
gray.
the worker tubes, and I don't like how choky it is, like every map, you know.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like I'm also probably gonna enjoy that just because of how large it is, you know. And I like the 4-player map kind of thing.
Yeah, I do want to see and play on more 4-player maps.
Yeah,
so
I like 3 and 4 player.
It's gonna be one of those maps that I'm going to try and keep in the map pool.
I mean, when I started playing, we had like Laralac Crest and stuff like that.
Yeah, you had a lot of really big maps when you started playing. Like Dust Towers was not a small map.
Well, do you know what really destroyed the ability to have larger areas between bases and interesting terrain? The 12 worker start, along with the economic change, so that bases mine out half and then the other half. So actually, a shift back to an 8 worker start is actually going to probably substantially increase the amount of space between bases.
I need to get some water
and all
because
that.
I'm out of water. But keep chatting, guys.
So counterpoint, the 8 worker start and especially the mineral changes actually make it super easy to turtle. And I think bringing back that turtle gameplay is really bad. However,
that's why
I think the answer to that,
right?
I think the answer to that though is you keep the 12 worker start, but you also keep the mineral count changes so that you can, like, you don't mine out quite as quickly. You kind of have that midpoint, so you still have the ability to be slightly more I want to say all in, but like slightly stay on 2 bases slightly longer, or stay on 3 bases slightly longer.
Yeah, you've got
without going completely the other direction, which I feel like we've gone the other direction.
With minerals mining out is if you do a 2 base all in or timing and it doesn't work and they're on 3 bases, now you're on like 1 base because your main is fully mined out and like or half mined out and your nat is half mined, all that kind of stuff. But
so
you do get more money longer now.
I do think the answer is like keep the 12 workers, but also keep the mineral changes.
To be honest, I'm somewhat impartial on either. I just want to play a new game here. You know, I want to have big changes to shake things up.
Yeah, I'm happy to have that. I really don't mind having that. I think part of that is
I do.
Is the map. I don't mind big changes. I want to be very clear. I don't mind big changes. I don't like fundamental changes. I don't like trying to completely rework Warpgate from the ground up, because I understand that Warpgate has been problematic, and I have basically said many times in the past to Ace that in order to make Protoss less bullshit, you would basically have to completely rework Warpgate from the ground up. And I have no problem with the idea of that. I do have a problem with the execution that we have currently, and
I mean, it's just that we don't have like Blizzard support. You know, that's really the main problem here.
That's the biggest thing. Is we don't have Blizzard's. No, we don't.
Technically, it's Blizzard that's doing these changes now because, of course, the Balance Council is gone. The problem is, of course, it's people who have to share their time between StarCraft original, StarCraft
Warcraft,
2,
Swarm,
and
StarCraft 1,
Warcraft, and
Diablo
Heroes
2,
of the
yeah,
Storm,
everything.
which just, I mean, it's got to be like a year ago now, but I remember they got a big balance pass.
The point I'm trying to make is, before we finish up, because we have gone way over time.
We've gone way over time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm all for big changes. I'm not for fundamental changes. I don't want to change the worker start. Mineral count is fine because it's not like such a fundamental change that it ruins everything else. But changing the worker start changes so many early builds in the sense of, oh, now nothing fucking lines up properly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
that's a real problem that I
think
have
like
personally.
another way to put it would be like, not fundamental, but like foundational, because all of this stuff is built on top of the economy, like the unit times for, how things build and, all this stuff is like not just haphazard, it didn't just happen to line up into things that make interesting build orders and like have interesting choices. Like, it was a lot of time that Blizzard and, all the team that was involved there spent, fine-tuning and refining these things, right? And like, we gotta, I feel like, show a lot of respect for that. And I understand that, although Blizzard technically might still have like a level of support right now for StarCraft 2, it's like they don't have like a full design team and they're not like looking at the stats like super hard, right? It's not a big priority for them because it's not like a new title that they're trying to launch and like, have everybody looking at, right?
Yeah,
they're just trying to retain an existing player base, which is like a way different question. So if things go wrong, Blizzard, their attitude is like, we don't really get a lot of money from this right now. If anything, we're kind of losing money maintaining the servers. So they don't really care that much.
Disappointing that they don't release like a war chest or like more premium arcade content. If I remember correctly, both of those, I mean, I figure both of those were quite successful, and I feel like finding that
War Chest was massively successful.
Yeah.
The War Chest was massively successful.
It's too bad.
You mentioned though, like Blizzard spent a lot of time iterating on the 12 worker start, and a lot of people seem to forget that this iteration didn't happen over weeks. It happened over the course of almost an entire year, and there was to the point where we were having it was roughly like the legacy.
Oh, sorry, you're talking about like Blizzard experimenting with it. Yeah.
Yes. So Blizzard's experiment with the 12 worker start happened from, I think, the course of March, like early March in like 2015 or something, whenever early Legacy came out and they were starting to actually do the changes, to I think the end of November. So they had the course of like 9+ months, 10 months or so, where they were iterating, not quite weekly, but every 2 weeks or so, there was a new patch, a new change, a new alteration to see how things would play out and to try and make sure that things were balanced and that there was enough time that you could also develop new builds and see how things went. And we just don't have that. Anyway, I have to go.
I was expecting the PTR. Yeah, I was expecting the new PTR to have landed well by now. The second one.
Yeah, me too.
Because but a little unfortunate. Yeah, we also have a skeleton team.
Yeah, I've heard rumors that it's supposed to come out on the 16th, but I don't know how true that is.
Yeah, I think we've all seen the Reddit thread, probably.
Yeah, probably.
It's just pure speculation, though.
It is.
Also,
it does feel
please,
like speculation.
Please, if you get insider information, do not leak it. We do not want to upset Blizzard. We do not want them to stop working with the community.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a big risk of if you are capable of leaking something, please don't.
It's a delicate situation right now.
It is. Yeah. I don't want to. Last thing I want to do is upset Blizzard. Like I said, this is complete speculation. I don't know if this is actually the case. My understanding, my hearsay is that there's supposed to be one on the 16th.
Yeah, I mean, it's been 2 weeks since the first PTR, so we're probably either going to get a new PTR or it's going to go live very soon, I would imagine.
Hopefully it doesn't go live. That
I hope it doesn't go live.
horrifying.
Yeah, I do too.
I mean,
you know I'm
I saw
biased though,
that.
because I don't want any of these changes. I'm just like, no.
freaking somebody on the BattleNet forum saying that the ghost got a nerf, and I just kind of turned off my computer and went outside.
Yeah. I don't want to live on this planet anymore. No, wait, hang on.
All right.
I have a thing for that.
I do think we should leave it there though, because
I agree.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.
I feel like we always do this with TAC. Every time TAC comes on, we go wildly over.
We've been doing this so quite frequently, but yeah, with TAC we always go over. Yeah. All right.
It's kind of funny that we only did the top 5 maps. There are a few really good ones underneath too, but
yeah. But gosh, I mean, there's just so much to say. Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, I'll close things up here. It was really good having you guys on, as always. Good having you on again. Once again, TacticalFluke, and I hope to have you on again whenever we talk about maps in the future, because we'll probably be talking about those, whenever map pools come out and things like that. Good
or when
having
the
you on, as
PTR goes live, and then we realize that we need to go all the way back to the Heart of the Swarm map making.
Yeah, let's go. Steps of War. No, I'm just kidding.
That's Wall.
That's Wings of Liberty. Yeah, no, we'll just
I know.
We'll just go back to Daybreak.
It would be not
Coda.
Yeah, Coda. Yeah, that was probably the one I was thinking of.
Belshire Vestige.
Yeah.
Well, not
there's another one.
Let's not go crazy.
Overgrowth.
Echo.
It's Overgrowth is the one I'm thinking of.
Overgrowth
right?
wasn't bad. Yeah, something like that.
That used to be our rum recruiting map when you did your 1v1 initiation match. It used to always be on Overgrowth. It used to be one of the things.
Look, don't shit on all the Blizzard maps, because Daybreak was pretty fucking good.
True. All right, trying to end the show now, though.
Yeah. Yep.
Good having you guys on. As
Blizzard
always.
maps to me.
Good having you guys on as always, but we gotta end the show. And thank you to everybody who tuned in. Thank you to Railgun for the raid, and we will catch you all next time. And hopefully we'll have PTR by then, and we'll be talking about the new PTR or something like that. Oh my gosh, hitting the follow a goal tool. Goal 2, I can talk. All right. Thank you all so much. It was a blast. We do this every Sunday about the same time, 1 p.m. Pacific time. And yeah, VODs will be on my YouTube later, and Miro is putting the link in chat right now. Thank you all for watching, and we'll catch you all next time.